So here we go. This is breaking down Arthur Smith's post-game press conference. He's obviously hurt, as what we said in the last breakdown. But let's just jump into it. My name is Nick. This is Roll Coverage. Let's go.
Hey, I thought it was all over.
Yep, here we go. This is head coach Arthur Smith breaking down the press conference. He just lost to my Panthers. If you watch my last breakdown of him, which just in case you don't know, Roll Coverage does breakdowns of the entirety of the South, including my Panthers, Bucks, Saints, and of course the Falcons, expanding to more teams as the days go on. But without further ado, Mr. Arthur Smith, you have the floor.
Obviously, we didn't do what we needed to do coming in here, and
critiques to the press conference that I did previously for Arthur Smith with Blua, which if you have not watched it, go check it out on YouTube at Roll Coverage. Is that he wears his emotion very much on his sleeve. I love the aesthetic of the mustache. It kind of gives him a little bit of more of a personality. Obviously, we haven't done breakdowns the whole year, so I don't have a ton of stuff to do with it, but he seems to very much be emotional in a positive way, that he's very open about how he's feeling when it comes to wanting to improve, and not only personal accountability and everything like that. Arthur Smith might be one of those guys that is best served as a coordinator as opposed to a head coach. But if you want somebody that really cares about the players, the fan base, and the process, Arthur Smith seems like he at least has the heart for it. Whether or not he has the team for it right now is something completely separate, but I think moving forward we're going to see a lot more of Bijan. So
wasn't for lack of effort. We didn't make enough plays. Didn't do enough job getting them ready, and so you hung around, and then we turned the ball over late. And you do that, you'll lose. And so this one stings, but we got to get back and find a way, and we got to get back in the win column. But not the result we expected.
The conditions
were just god awful. The rain and everything. Desmond Ridder coughed it up twice. I think it was him that coughed it up the first time, and then the second time was obviously the pick. But yeah, overall, I think Desmond Ridder is just not it. So many people are believing in these college guys that played at these tiny schools, just hoping they're a Brock Purdy or somebody like that. Whereas we just know that there's some guys that just have it. I think that's going to be a big thing coming out of this next draft, is a lot of the guys who we think have it, like maybe a Michael Penix, might not have it at the next level. Not everybody can succeed at the next level. Some people can win games, like we've seen with Will Levis, but some people just, that's just not it. We saw it with Trey Lance. We saw it with Darnold. We've seen it with Zach Wilson. We've seen so many of these guys that get drafted that just aren't it. Come from interesting schools, BYU, Cincinnati, something like that. Most obviously great college quarterbacks that transition well don't come from big schools outside of like a Tom Brady or something like that going to Michigan. But overall, I think that Atlanta is a quarterback away. I'm just not sure who that quarterback is. I floated a few ideas. Of course, for them to go get Kyler Murray, and that system could be real interesting, especially with Bijan now. But obviously, they haven't really made that decision, nor do they have the ability to really change at quarterback right now. The only one that I thought was an interesting one, other than that, was, of course, Deshaun Watson, but it doesn't look like he's actually, healthy enough to really do anything. Looks like he's going to be a massive loss for the Browns overall. So I think that's going to be something that they're going to explore, getting rid of him. I just don't think Atlanta's the place for him. There's somebody out there that I'm not thinking of, like a Jameis Winston or, a Derek Carr or something, where you can go out there and bring one of his dudes there. Like, imagine if Atlanta was just like, screw it, we're going to trade Kyle Pitts, we're going to trade away our first round pick this year and next year. We're going to go get Derek Carr from the Saints. We're going to go make the Devontae Adams trade happen, him with Drake London, Bijan Robinson, everything like that. Atlanta would be popping. But obviously, health is the concern with a lot of these guys. So I think that if Arthur Smith is retained, which most of the fan base, since losing to my, at that point, 1-12 Panthers, since you guys got that L, the entire fan base is 100% against Arthur Smith, wants him gone, wants Desmond Ridder gone, wants Bijan Robinson to get 30 carries a game and then just die on that sword. I'm not really sure. Apparently, unless it was a catastrophic failure, I don't think that that game was a catastrophic failure. I think the conditions were just so bad that no team could get anything going. So whoever won that game was just going to win based on those conditions. I don't put stock in it, even because my Panthers, again, they're my team here. I'll support the shit out of them. But we didn't win that game. I think it was just the conditions. Again, I think the Falcons pretty much just gave it up at one point. Um, Obviously, the interceptions don't help, and in a game like that, you have to minimize those turnovers. And without, minimizing those turnovers, you're going to lose. So,
The one fumble and the interception, were y'all hoping, how did you assess those and try to, hope the defense could bail you out there?
Yeah, I mean, we did. We put them in the turnover, sudden change. They did bail us out. We held them to 3, made some plays, and then came back out. I mean, the helmet, from what it looked like, my perspective with Bijan getting out there, the ball popped out.
it happens. That one wasn't as bad. The interception was bad. The interception was really bad. That was 100% Desmond Ritter's fault. There was no way that dude was going to catch that ball. I'm sorry. Desmond Ritter either needs to get better or you need to replace him, which is why I spent so much time on that to start.
And trying to play the win, obviously, a conservative approach didn't play out for us, And so then we took the drive after we made it 7-6. Had the long drive down there, and then we had the interception.
Do you feel like you were too conservative today?
I mean, certainly that's a fair. I mean,
I think it was too conservative. I think that if they it'll at least get a field goal on that drive. That means it's 10-6. Even if we kick the field goal there, it's 10-9. We lose 10-9. There's no way we could have done another 75-yard drive meeting my Carolina Panthers against this team. They were actually getting some stuff together. We were able to stop their run game for the most part, but overall, Atlanta should have just not thrown that pick. Obviously, hindsight is always 20/20, but just kick that field goal and you most likely win the game. Forcing us to go on 4th. If we are unable to do that, and then we have to get a touchdown, then yes, of course, great. We finally scored a touchdown and we would beat the Falcons outright. But I just think a field goal in that situation pretty much ices the game because to that point, no touchdowns were pretty much scored. I'm sorry, no touchdowns were scored on the Carolina side at all. So
when you only score 7 points, trying to play the wind and a lot going on down there, the wind, the rain, the ball had been on the ground twice. Some issues we were, trying to negate in the protection. So that's certainly a fair criticism.
I do, to be honest. Arthur Smith looks good as a head coach. Again, that face is going to be the one face that you constantly see if you do retain him as coach. Again, I think he's very, hard on the sleeve kind of guy, which is a good thing. You can kind of see him getting frustrated. You could see him doing the old one of these, see like the side of his lips go out. He's going to continue to answer it and be very just like almost like he's deflating as he's answering, like, "Hey man, we're doing this. We went to the left," and So I think that just degrading amount of energy is part of the reason why people don't want him. People were roasting Frank Reich because he wasn't up screaming and doing all that crazy stuff. So I think that maybe this more emotionally available kind of coach is not one that fans really love, but I think players might be benefiting from because he does take a lot of the hits from what it looks like.
You've talked about critical errors all season. Defense, it seems like this has been a common theme in losses.
But it's on all of us, Mike. Whether it's, you blame me, you blame the turnovers. As a team, we've got to make those plays. And we didn't do that, and that's the momentum shift right there. And you're in scoring position at worst. You're hoping to get a field goal, changes what you've got to defend. The dynamic's completely different, but that's not what happened.
I agree with that. Again, if they kick the field goal, the game is completely different. They most likely come out of there with the win, and this is a completely different press conference on both sides, both the Panthers and the Falcons. One critique I have of him so far is you need to cut your goddamn hair, man. It's bad. I mean, I see this. Just in case you guys don't know, I'm letting my hair grow out. My wife is dealing with some personal stuff. So when she gets cleared and everything, that she doesn't have the big C, then I'm going to get all of this cut off. So expect this to change. But man, yours is bad. This is real rough. You're a millionaire, man. You got to have better hair than that. I'm sorry.
Desmond, about that interception, what did he see? What was he trying to do there?
He's trying to make a play. And, obviously, it'd be the first to tell you I wish he could have it back. But that's not what happened.
You have to change your message to the team at this point, consider it.
The 80s, 90s cop. Is that it? Or like a Miami Vice cop? Maybe.
Where you are right now.
Well, I mean, the message is obviously different every week, Josh, but when you're coming off 2 close losses like that and in the division, it certainly changed things in 8 days, but we still got 3 more, and we got to find a way. There's a lot going on. I mean, we did it to ourselves. We got to get back in there, and we got to find a way to beat Indy.
And I think they can. Indy's dealing with some interesting ones. Of course, the KZ hit and everything. So I think it's a completely winnable game. If the Falcons come out there and drop 31 on the Colts, I could see them winning 31-21. Desmond Ritter finally throws, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Bijan Robinson has 100-plus, yard gain. So you can absolutely see the formula for them to win. Moving forwards, they could obviously win the next 3 and then be still in contention for either a wild card or just to win the division outright. So,
In terms of improvement this year, do you feel like this team has improved from where you guys were maybe even at the beginning of the season?
Well, obviously, Mike, we still got some football to play. I mean, certainly in a lot of areas you feel like you do, but that's where we're at right now. Coming off those 2 losses, doesn't feel that way in terms of in the short term. We have had opportunities, and there's been a lot of improvement in other areas, but when you're coming off 2 losses, it's hard to say feel good about anything.
The job is on the line. That's going to be part of the video title is he going to get burned essentially? A lot of people are expecting some firings here. I haven't checked my phone while I'm recording this, and I am recording this on the 18th, so he could have already been fired. Let me check. Nothing yet, but I just don't think he needs to be fired midseason at this point. Just let him finish out the year. If you're going to fire him in the offseason, do that. But I just don't think that's the best option moving forwards either, unless you have a proven talent coming in. I think that Bijan does need to be utilized more. I think he could have already been 1,000-yard back, no problem, if you really had committed to him. And I think that obviously Drake May, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, one of those needs to end up on your team to try and lead you in the future because it is not Desmond Ritter.
Injuries along both lines. How do you kind of square that with you got 3 of 5 backups on the offensive side, both your tackles missing. On the defensive side, how do you square, this loss with not having all your people up front?
Yeah, I mean, that's, part of it was the weather, part of it was the personnel.
Fidgety, like behind here. I know I occasionally do it. I'm not perfect when it comes to that. I'm definitely not a body language expert. Just going to kind of watch him. He looks uncomfortable how he's answering the question. He obviously is wanting to say something more, but he can't for whatever reason. So,
and we're trying to negate some of the stuff, so it wasn't really traditional. A lot of the passing downs, and so that's where, trying to play the weather, the wind, all the different scenarios, and then obviously it didn't work out for us. But that was a lot of things trying to protect to make sure that Brown and Burns didn't wreck the game. But like I said,
something that if you're a Panthers fan, I want you to really think about. They are, regardless of that Burns hasn't had the crazy sack season, they are still going out of their way to scheme for him, and that says a lot. Regardless of how you may feel about him, I do not think he is tradable. If he ends up getting traded, and I swear to God he ends up going someplace like the Kansas City Chiefs, the Eagles, the Bills, the Niners, or something like that, where he's going to go out there and he's going to put up 15 sacks in the first season, and we're going to be like, why did we get rid of a 25-year-old pass rusher? So for that reason, I'm completely out on getting rid of Brian Burns. Pay that man. He should retire a Carolina Panther. We should never allow him to leave the goddamn building. Same thing with Derek Brown. Same thing for Mr. Frankie Louvu. Same thing for, of course, Mr. Bryce Young.
Yeah, you turn the ball over twice, don't get any takeaways, and among other things, we got to score more than 7.
Again, if you watch my other breakdown of the actual game that the NFL puts out a condensed version, I did it where it goes over the plays and stuff. If the Carolina Panthers can hold you to 15 or less, we have a really solid shot of winning. But we need a lot of stuff to kind of fall into place. It happened to fall into place in this game. We happened to have a game where we had 2 takeaways. The other team had no takeaways. Yes, we had a fumble, but we were able to recover it ourselves. But we were able to win this game. The Falcons just, had some personnel errors and some issues. But again, I think 99 out of 100 times the Falcons win this game. This is just the one where we escape with the win, and I am all for it.
The collaborative approach before, but you have to consider maybe.
What I also want to touch on, though, real quick, is that this man doesn't deserve the hate that he's getting. I understand the team is in strife right now, but you're 6-8 now. I think it's 6-8. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. But yeah, you guys have 6 wins. And you're doing that with a really bad quarterback. Imagine with a good quarterback there. I think it could have worked out. I think, honestly, you guys would be better off with Mac Jones. I know a lot of people hate Mac Jones, but I think Mac Jones is a competent quarterback, can execute, do everything like that. He just needs weapons. The Patriots don't have those weapons. If we were to take Mac Jones and put him for the 49ers, he succeeds. We would take him, put him in Minnesota, I think he succeeds. You take him and put him in Atlanta, I think he would succeed. So just something to think about.
Making changes again in the last.
Hold on. The Bears decide to get rid of Fields. You guys go get Fields and then run Fields and then Ritter as your backup. That could be really interesting, especially because he's dynamic both running the ball and passing. You guys, this team, this Atlanta Falcons team, has a lot of questions to answer in the offseason. Quarterback is going to be number 1.
We've done a lot of different things, Mike, and it's a team effort. We've had games where Dave's punching into the quarterback, and had games where I have. So I just, there's nothing we do that we don't collaborate with. I mean, it's not anybody going rogue and getting around the plan. And but ultimately, no matter what's called on special teams, defense, offense, that's on me as the head coach.
Do you know why maybe the consistency hasn't been there really at all? It seems like every time you guys made some, it looks like you've made some progress, then it seems like there's steps back again.
Well, I mean, every scenario is different. I mean, you look at the last 2 weeks. Last week was a completely different story than this week. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's what we're trying to eliminate, and we've been trying all season. I mean, the thing that's hurt us the most clearly is the turnovers. That's just not going to change.
Said before, that interception doesn't happen. They most likely go up 10-6, forcing the Panthers to have to either kick a field goal, get the ball back, and then march back down the field, which I don't think would have been possible, or they needed the touchdown, which we were not able to get at all yesterday. So I think that would have essentially ended the game for the Falcons.
Change in the NFL, the turnover margins, and that's been a lot of things you can pick apart, but certainly that's the one that's hurt us.
Given Desmond's issues with turnovers this season, did you have any kind of hesitation or consternation about putting the ball in his hands there at the end when he trying to score?
Well,
so you got to believe in your quarterback. But just in case you guys didn't hear me before, Desmond Ridder has not been named the starter for the game coming up. He was put out on Twitter. Shout out Dove Kleiman for that. So yeah.
I mean, no, I understand and respect the question. I mean, you're trying to just get outside the pocket. We've been so run heavy, and you're trying to call a movement keeper, and thinking, hey, worst case we'd take off, and and obviously there's a lot of things you're going to second guess yourself with, and that's not a shot at him because it's on all of us, and it certainly starts with me. But in theory, we were not trying to drop back there, and that wasn't what we were trying to accomplish.
Do you feel like you've seen enough improvement from, I know maybe it's supposed to be that question after a loss, but do you feel like you've seen enough improvement from Ridder over?
Say whatever he has to because he has to still protect his quarterback. But I personally say no. I think he's a backup. I don't think he's going to succeed, regardless of how much times or how many times you start him, how much time he gets playing, or anything. I think that a Desmond Ritter needs just truly game-breaking talents on the outside. A Ritter could probably be successful with a Dolphins team or something like that, whereas he would not be successful with a Chargers team, for example, one that's injury-plagued and everything like that. So
This would be now really a full season's worth.
Mike, it's a lot of things, man. You're coming off that loss. Obviously, we didn't end the way you want. We weren't as productive as we wanted. There's been some good moments, but obviously we're not, not satisfied or certainly not happy with what's going on the last two games. Still got life, and we, gotta find a way to fix some of these issues, because we got a Indy coming in next week, and a lot of crazy things can still happen. But this is one. These last two do sting. I mean, we've had our opportunities, regardless of the score.
yeah, because you think about it at this point, they get those 2 wins. They have 9 wins. They're most likely leading the division. This Falcons team looks like it's overachieving, whereas now they're falling a little bit back down to earth. Now, if they slide these last 3 games, lose these last 3 games as well, I think that's enough to fire him. But again, I still think you need to get him into the off season to fire him. If you guys end up winning 2 out of these, last 3 or something like that, and you guys could escape with, 8 wins, I think that's enough to maybe sneak into something. You'll probably most likely be on the outside anyways, but I just don't think it's a hack job or anything. I think it's just Desmond Ritter is not it. If you give him a better quarterback, I think we can change the narrative in Atlanta.
Still have leads in both. Didn't get it done, though.
And that's the thing. He's continually answered the same way. We haven't executed. I haven't executed. I'm sorry. Essentially, like that kind of thing. Like, he's essentially repeating the same answer, the same answer, the same answer. That's a dude that's going up there knowing, like, yeah, man, I could walk into my job tomorrow and get fired. Again, I haven't gotten an update on it yet. And it is almost 1 o'clock on Monday, so a good start at least. But yeah.
So you have 3 games left, but I'm curious, on what basis do you believe you're the right coach for this team?
Well, I think in any job you take, you got to have a lot of self-belief.
That's a rough question to ask. I think that's probably because most people inside, like I said before, the fan base think that he's a lame duck coach. I think Arthur could be brought back next year, especially with maybe a better OC or somebody like that, better DC, clean house in other ways. Could also see him getting fired today or after the next game. If they get smoked by the Colts, I could see him getting fired. Just if he gets fired like this, man, it's just because the team literally collapsed. Again, I feel bad for him. I want to say come to my Panthers, but you haven't proven anything for them. You'd have to come in as a coordinator of some sort, and I just think that he's either going to be the head coach of the Falcons next year or he's not going to be coaching next year. I wouldn't expect him to go sign with somebody else to be an OCDC somewhere else. I don't even know what he did before this, to be honest. I haven't done my breakdown video on him yet. That'll probably come in the off season after the Super Bowl, where I break down all 32 coaches, and then any new coaches that come in, do a full breakdown on them. So I want to know his story. I want to know more about Mr. Arthur Smith. So expect that.
And, this is the cycle of it. There's consequences when you lose. So these are natural questions, right? It's NFL 101. Job's to win games. There's a lot of things that every situation is different. There's a lot of things we've dealt.
Again, that touch in the back of the head thing, that's like a nervous tick kind of thing. So, yeah, he's going through it. I said in the last breakdown 100 times probably that he looked hurt. He sounds like a hurt man still. He sounds like he doesn't want to get fired. He sounds like he really cares about the Atlanta Falcons organization. I wouldn't listen to the fan base right now. You guys have 6 wins. You're a turnover here or there from winning the division and having a playoff spot. So I think you're right there. That right there is just Desmond Ritter, so you need to get another person there.
With early on, but ultimately, your job is to win games and get into the playoffs. So we'll still have an opportunity. It'll look like a long shot, but each one of these years has been different. We've had 3 different teams, a lot of different
this case, yeah, you might be right, y'all. He might have to go. 3 years is a lot of time. Again, we're 13 games or some shit into the season, 14 games, whatever the hell. I don't think it's worth firing somebody in the middle of the season at this point. Just let him finish. There's 3 games left. Who cares? It's 3 games. Nothing changes. Your team doesn't get better and all of a sudden make the playoffs because you fire the coach with 3 games left. Just let him finish. Fire him in the offseason. Move on then.
Movement at some critical spots. But at the end of the day, your job is to win. But we've made a lot of good. But I've got a ton of self-belief, and nobody should take a job they don't have belief in themselves. I can promise you that.
Have you been told anything about the future?
I mean, we don't know how to, like a state of the union. We every day you go in there, try to do the best you can at your job, and then that's all we work on. It's improving, trying to win games.
I think the team has improved from the first game of the season to now. Massive enough improvement to keep him, I'm not sure, but they have improved.
Your plan when you went back to Des, quarterback, a few weeks ago, was to let him go the rest of the year. Is that still the plan?
Yeah, that's been the plan, but there's a lot of things that nothing's ever set in stone, Josh. I mean, you got to evaluate and adapt. It's just like the questions you're asking about personnel, what you got to do. We got to find a way. I mean, we need to win.
Do you feel like you have a quarterback on the roster right now that you can be consistent?
We've had some good moments. I mean, like I said, we'll get back and evaluate everything. We'll make sure we have the right plan and make the right decision for the best of the team. What's the best interest of this team to win a game? We need to get back in the win column.
Has been sir for Mr. Arthur Smith. I've given him a few grades in the past. This one I'm going to give a solid B. This was a good press conference. He answered the questions. He did kind of repeat some answers, but he was very non-verbally open, kind of show you where he's getting anxious when answering certain questions. You could see he's dodging the quarterback question, which obviously this came yesterday. So this is without all of the knowledge that happened today where he is not picking Desmond Ridder to move forwards. Again, he's still a hurt man. If he's been there 3 years, it's time to go. 6 and what are they? 6 and 8, 6 and 9, whatever the fuck they are. Yeah, it's a tough one for you guys. Falcons need something. Quarterback, possibly an offensive guru. We're gonna see what they do in the off season. But if you want more breakdowns like this, my name is Nick. This has been Roll Coverage. Hope you guys all have a great rest of the day. And yeah, make sure you subscribe and come check us out. Peace.